Hi, I'm Devin C. Larson. Welcome to the channel. Lately, I've been putting out tutorials on how to improve your voiceover performance using your imagination and gesture, stuff like that. What I haven't talked about too much is how to actually get started in voiceover in the first place. It's a fair question that most people have. Now, if I had to make some predictions about you, I'm guessing you have a great voice. You've probably been told that by a number of people that have told you, you sound just like a cartoon character, or I could picture you voicing that commercial. And now you're looking to make the first steps in your voiceover journey, but where do you even begin? It's a mystery. It's not like there is a consensus guide how to go about doing this. It can be confusing. And the reason I feel confident making these predictions is that was me too. I didn't know where to start either. And it was only through trial and error and a lot of research that I found my way in. And what I wanted to do today is share that with you, my first 5 steps that I took. And they may not be what works for you. One or all of them may not apply to your situation because there's no one way to go about doing it. But I wanted to explain where I started, and maybe some of that can apply to you, and it'll at least give you some ideas about how to start, where to begin. And the other thing that I wanted to mention, kind of as a disclaimer, is by the time you get to step 5, you're not going to be booking work. It doesn't work that way. It's a long process. You just have to sort of give it time. These are just the first 5 steps, so you know where to begin. So without further ado, let's start with step 1. Seek out online resources and educate yourself. Congratulations, you're already doing this. When I first got started, I didn't know where to begin, so I started searching online, which led me to voices.com and a number of free articles and resources there that pointed me in the direction of recommended starting equipment and the basics of technique. And from there, I started putting together a list of the things that I wanted to tackle and in what order. I began to hear about voiceover demos and how you needed a demo to be able to get professional voiceover work. I also heard that they were not cheap to record and that you didn't want to just rush into recording a demo before you were ready. So I made a note of that for later. I figured out pretty quickly that I was going to need a home studio setup because that's how most voiceovers recorded nowadays. And I consulted a number of free online resources to help me determine what type of equipment was going to work for my budget when I was just starting out. There's a number of free resources available for this, including a video that I recorded on this topic that I will link to in the description below. I also started researching books on voiceover and business and acting, and read the reviews to make sure that the information included in them was accurate and reputable, and then ordered those books and started to study them. I also began to hear about P2P or pay-to-play sites, and how this was maybe where you would want to start looking for work when you were just getting started. We'll get back to that in a little bit. So that was step 1. Now moving on to step 2. Find equipment and put together your recording space. This seemed like a natural place to start, so I scouted around my house for a suitable location to record. I ended up choosing this unused closet because it was small enough that I could acoustically treat it fairly easily, plus it didn't have any weird pockets or angles to bounce the sound around. I started to acoustically treat the space for sound, which I cover in another one of my videos called How to Soundproof Your Home Studio. Again, check the link in the description below. And then I started putting together my list of equipment that I had compiled. And again, check the description for a link to how to set up your home studio. Fairly straightforward. On to step 3. Study books on voiceover, acting, and business skills. I started with The Art of Voice Acting by James Alberger, a fantastic resource that covers everything to do with voice acting, not only the voiceover technique, but the business side also. I made a note of every book that was referenced within that book and then sought those out. I particularly recommend The Three-Dimensional Voice by Joni Wilson, as well as Voice and the Actor by Cicely Berry. Then I checked out a number of lists on top recommended business books. Now, you can go with whatever speaks to you best. I happen to read Launch by Jeff Walker and Atomic Habits by James Clear. I also read some books on acting. So far, I've read On Acting by Sanford Meisner, as well as Respect for Acting by Uda Hagen. I also read a book called Voiceover Home Recording by Tom Blakemore that I found to be fantastic, especially for soundproofing or acoustically treating your home studio. I also read this highly technical book on recording equipment, which I won't bother you with here. Suffice it to say, I looked for a lot of books that I thought would be relevant and then just made it my job for a while to absorb the information that they contained. On to step 4. Take classes and workshops. Then I started my formal training. Basically, start taking classes, and whenever you have the time, take more classes. I took a voice acting workshop. Then I joined an acting class, the full-blown on-camera kind. I joined a Zoom group that met weekly and read material and gave feedback. I got a voice acting coach. I'm in voice acting classes right now. You need training to get you in a position where it makes sense to pay for a demo. You can't really expect to present yourself as a professional and get a demo made and start booking work without training, so take classes. Audition. When I was doing my research for step 1, I kept coming across this term, P2P or pay-to-play sites. These are websites that charge you a monthly or yearly subscription fee, and in exchange they send you scripts that their clients post on them. I went with Voice 123, but there are a lot of them, and you should do your research before you go with one to make sure that it's going to be the right fit and the right subscription tier that'll work for you. It's also important to have the right perspective when it comes to pay-to-play sites. Sure, you could get work, in theory. The reality is there's going to be so many people auditioning for the same work on those sites that you're unlikely to get much, if any, work from them. That's okay. The main reason that you want to audition on P2P sites is you're going to be getting a constant stream of different scripts. You need to treat it like practice. If you happen to get work from it, so much the better. But just consider this part of your training. That's the right mindset to go into it with. Those were the 5 steps that I took when I first started getting into voiceover. And as I mentioned in the beginning, you'll note that by the end of step 5, you're not booking work yet. The purpose of me sharing this with you is to just give you some ideas about ways you can get started, because your path in may not be the same as my path, and that's okay. I just want to maybe give you some ideas about what might work best for you, because the important thing is just to get started, however that works out for you. Thanks for watching my video. Please like it, subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications so you don't miss the next one, and I look forward to seeing you back here again. Thanks so much.